The final part of Manly P. Hall's short book, Magic, a Treatise on Esoteric Ethics, is called The Mechanics of Magic. Man is made up of three parts: spirit, mind, and body. The physical body is also divided into four vehicles. These are the physical body, the vital body, the astral or emotional body, and the mental body. Hall reviews in this chapter how the macrocosmic man was created from the Adamic prototype. First was the true darkness that precedes light, Brahma, the mind-born, which is the elements of fire and light. This air, the true darkness, was colorless, without the elements of fire and light. Hall utilizes the figure of Brahma in the aspect of the Hindu Shiva as the creator of the form world, but in reality, Brahma represents the lower planes of our planetary and solar systems. Hall then describes in some detail how our scheme of worlds came into being. It began as a series of thought forms or substances made up of darkness. These made up the mind-body of the archetypical atom. Out of this primordial darkness emerged the visible universe as it differentiated itself into the mind bodies of the human race. From these thought forms, the fire worlds were born, which was the origin of our solar system. These fire worlds were born from the arms and shoulders of the archetypal man. They represent the astral or emotional body of man. The vital body was formed out of the water-born. And finally, the crystallization of humidity formed the solid earth or the physical body of man. Just as the universe, the macrocosm, was born out of a dark nebula of mind stuff, man as the microcosm follows a similar pattern. He started out as a mineral thought form, then as a plant, next as an animal, and finally into physical substance as a human creature. Each time man evolved into a new thought form, the number of bodies of which he was composed increased in number. As the original thought form, he had one. As a plant, he had two. As an animal, three. And as a human being, four. The fourth being composed of physical, chemical, dense ether. The physical body is made up of solids, liquids, and gases, the vital body of both atomic and elemental essences, the astral or emotional body of fire atoms called asteroids, and the mental body of formed and unformed thought. These formed and unformed thoughts correspond to the concrete mind and the abstract mind. According to Hall's sources of ancient wisdom, man lives approximately 800 Earth lives as he evolves through various human forms and environments as he learns to master each one. As he masters them, he incorporates each of the elements of earth, water, fire, and air bodies and draws from these the qualities and essences he needs. The air body gives the power of thought, the fire body the power of emotion, the water body the power of reproduction and growth. The physical body is the densest of man's four bodies. The mental body allows for the power of thought and reflection, which place man above the animals in the animal kingdom. The astral body is where man's emotion and sense of color and feeling emanates. The etheric body allows for the power of reproduction. All of these make up man's constitution. They house his consciousness and spirit. Though the spirit is superior to all of the bodies, without the chain of vehicles, it would be incapable of manifesting. It is also subject to the appetites, desires, and demands of the lower nature, which must be subdued. The diagram on this slide is a depiction of man as the sacred five-pointed star, the pentagram, with spirit hovering above. The 5 parts represent the consciousness of man and his 4 bodies. Hall tells us that medieval alchemists called it the Star of Bethlehem, and that the Masonic apron symbolized the same thing. The apron is square with 4 points, and the flap descends into the point of a triangle. This lower flap covers up the mystery of the murder of Hiram of Hiramic legend, and the raising of the flap is symbolic of his resurrection. Hall discusses what it is that makes the study of occult science significant. Life is filled with mystery, and the uninitiated are at a large disadvantage because they do not possess the knowledge and wisdom to truly understand what it is all about. The occultist, on the other hand, is an expert in the science of life. This is because he has the knowledge to manipulate the forces of nature, and this allows for control over these subtle forces. However, if his manipulations are not in harmony with the natural plan, they may serve as a curse instead of a blessing. Hall cites the later times of Atlantis as an example of when such powers were abused with catastrophic results. The minds of some Atlanteans were powerful, but not virtuous. Hall also talks about how we live in an age of enlightenment that pertains only to the things of this physical world. We are ignorant concerning matters of the divine. The world is steeped in selfishness and greed, and preoccupation with these dominates the human mind. This, however, if we are not careful, leads to a state of selfishness, self-interest, and self-gratification. When we concentrate on the things that pertain only to our concrete mind, we lose sight of that part of us that is the aura of our consciousness, our true dwelling place. When this happens, we create a breeding ground for the curse of the human race, black magic. Black magic acts like a disease which infects the human race. It causes humans to sell their souls and immortal spirits in the interest of power and wealth and greed. Hall says the black magician thinks himself greater than God or law as he continually breaks the rules of nature, but that sooner or later he will be destroyed by his own servant. The black magician tries to mold the divine plan into his own desires because he believes the universe wants to promote him above other men. In reality, the cosmic all sees him as nothing but a tiny atom of existence, no different from any others. The black magician uses magic to gratify sensation, ambition, desires, and greed, and to exert control over other humans. The white magician, on the other hand, seeks to gain control over himself. Hall discusses the 4 bodies of man as elements in magic. He seeks to differentiate clearly between the right and wrong functions of these bodies. Each of these bodies has a character of its own and needs to be properly trained from the time we are children, so that it is clear who is master and who is servant. These 4 centers of consciousness are his mind, his heart, his vital body, and his physical body. In this diagram, Hall shows how consciousness rises through the lower bodies. Each of these bodies of man can be controlled by others. To control the physical body is to make another one's slave. To control the vital body is to sap energy, the energy of another, as in the case of an energy vampire. The astral body is usually attacked through an excess of emotion and feeling. This could be religious frenzy, grief, fear, or hate. An excess of these leads to the hijacking of the thinking mind. Magicians who try to instigate these types of emotions in others for selfish or personal reasons are practicing black magic. Mental black magic involves more complicated practices, including the misuse of hypnosis and mental suggestion. Hall comments that black magicians who use these techniques act on the basis of two false premises. One, that God has intended man to have whatever his puny intellect desires, and two, that man knows what he needs. It is not, he explains, that man can never seek to be rich, wise, beautiful, and healthy, but that he must work to earn these things for himself as opposed to stealing them from others. Since the aura of man's consciousness is his dwelling place, which belongs only to him, another person has no right to sneak into that consciousness to implant something there that does not belong. This is because the first person has no way to combat what he does not know is there. This is a violation of free will. Another concept Hall discusses is the idea that man was born into this world for the sole purpose of being happy. He says those who believe this misunderstand because we can never know why some come into this world with various lessons to learn, why some are born rich or poor, some weak and some strong. According to the law of karma, each life is placed where it will best learn what it needs to learn in order to form maximum soul growth. What we can do is help each other to develop as best we can, keeping in mind always that we must defer to divine will. Our victory must be in the control we gain ourselves, our own animal nature, and our temperament. The picture on this slide illustrates how man's vital body protects him from black magic and disease. Hall calls the vital body man's disease armor. He says that under normal conditions, this etheric body radiates through the pores of the skin and extends several inches beyond the body. According to occult science, germs are more astral and metaphysical than substantial. While the vital body aura is radiating from the human body, it protects man against evil forces and influences from both the physical and etheric worlds. When this vital body is not healthy or is depleted, the aura loses its power to protect, allowing for thousands of unhealthy external influence to cause dis-ease. The astral body lies outside the aura. Its center is in the liver and it is always changing in color. Outside the astral body is the mental body. In a highly developed adept, it appears as an egg-shaped vehicle and is midnight blue in color. The center of human consciousness, which Hall calls the Holy Tabernacle, lies at a point between the eyes in the forehead. This is the site of the third eye, or the pineal gland. When man is able to use logic and reason and by his thoughts, ideals, and aspirations gain control of his mental body, he can come into harmony with the divine. Man must seek to adjust his mental body to the mental plane of nature in order to accomplish this. Hall says each thought, emotion, and action is important. We succumb to black magic if we seek to improve ourselves to the detriment of others. We must realize the universe is honest, and we are rewarded according to our motives and our works. Since black magic appeals to the mass mind and to the principles of our civilization, which often seek to offer something for nothing, honesty is its deadly enemy. When man adheres to the golden rule, he reveals motives that are true and in accordance with the universe. This is why Hall believes in the importance of establishing a system of modern ethics, such as he has outlined in this treatise on esoteric ethics.